Deputy President Motlanthe, Deputy Prime Minister Bjorkland, Ministers, Deputy Ministers, Ambassadors, senior officials, ladies and gentlemen of the media, we would like to call upon Deputy Prime Minister Bjorkland and Minister Hanekom to take up their seats while Deputy President Motlanthe witnesses the signing of the agreement on cooperation in the field of science, technology, and innovation between the Republic of South Africa and the Kingdom of Sweden.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Today I've had the pleasure and honor of hosting the delegation from the Kingdom of Sweden, led by Deputy Prime Minister Jan Björklund. And we have just concluded our discussions in the Binational Commission. As you all know, South Africa and Sweden share common values of democracy, respect for human rights, and social justice. We had very fruitful discussions in the South Africa-Sweden Binational Commission and reconfirmed our commitment to continue strengthening the warm and fraternal relations between our countries. The Binational Commission explored new areas for cooperation in the trade and investment, especially in the fields of information and communication technology, energy, science and technology. As you just observed, an agreement was signed here, skills development, and maritime. The South African maritime sector provides a great potential for economic growth and is still largely untapped. We have 3,000 kilometers of coastline that we do not have any vessels owned by South Africa, whereas Sweden has a well-developed maritime sector, and we can benefit greatly from their knowledge in our efforts to grow South Africa's maritime sector. We are pleased that there is already cooperation between the South African Maritime Safety Authority, SAMSA, and its Swedish counterpart. Through this cooperation, SAMSA has been able to send students to the World Maritime University in Sweden to undertake postgraduate studies in maritime. Our bilateral relations with Sweden also extend to multilateral bodies and institutions in which we participate, and during the Binational Commission plenary session, we compared notes on a number of developments on the African continent. We compared notes with regards to the Syrian crisis. We compared notes with regards to the ICC and the cases before that court. And we happily share the same approach because, as I said, we are both democratic countries that are deeply steeped in the culture of human rights. Having shared a rich history with Sweden, we continue to work as partners, not only for our own socio-economic development, but also for the creation of a humane and better managed world. In the area of ICT, the Deputy Prime Minister and our Deputy Minister of Communications yesterday opened and participated in the ICT workshop and we stand to benefit as a country. As you know, that Sweden is very strong in this field. They gave the world the mobile phone. They gave the world Skype. They gave the world many technologies in this area, and we stand to benefit through this cooperation. Thank you for your attention.
The Binational Commission between Sweden and South Africa is an important institution for us to meet, both governments, officials, and to discuss common matters. The relations between South Africa and Sweden goes back to the time during the apartheid regime, when Sweden gave a lot of support to those who fought it against the apartheid regime. I remember myself in late 70s, I was a teenager. In my political youth, I was collecting signatures from among ordinary people in Sweden before we wanted, because we wanted to, we were angry on some of the Swedish companies who we believed were too tight to the apartheid regime. So a lot of people in Sweden were very happy when the transition took form some 20 years ago here, and we still are. So, but the ties and the cooperation has of course changed. Now we are, first there was the support for the freedom struggle, then there was support and aid to rebuild this nation, and now we are doing business and exchange on scientific matters on more equal terms, and that is of course a very good development. Africa is changing. You know that of course, but everybody in Europe also know it nowadays. Africa is changing. It's a rapid development with rapid economic growth. Ordinary people maybe don't feel it's rapid enough, but it really is when you compare to other parts of the world. We want, from Europe and from Sweden, we want to respond to that development, and not in the history there will be a lot of aid, but in the future there will be business relations, trade relations, exchange on a scientific level, and so on. And that's the core of our cooperation and what we have spoken about these days. South Africa has a lot of strong values who was formed during the difficult times 20, 30 years ago. Values of democracy, values of human rights, this value which I have learned the world and I really love it, this idea of a rainbow nation, that everyone can live together no matter color, no matter religion, and so on. And that's idea I find very attractive. And we appreciate that South Africa wants to play an important role on this continent, because let's be frank, on this continent in Africa there are democracies like South Africa, there are other countries who want to become democracies, but there are also very authoritarian states. And we want those who advocate democracy and good values to be strong and being ambitious in the transformation of this continent. So we very much welcome the African attitude, the African values, and the ambitions you have for the future. I'm very happy that we have signed this special treaty on research and science and technology cooperation. And it's, I think it's really important for the future. Sweden is a country which always have taken research seriously. We spend about 4% of our GDP on research and development each year. And we believe it's very, very important to solve different problems for the world. We have, just to mention, climate change, for example. New energy solutions for the future, so on. So, but you know, research in the 21st century is very expensive because it demands big infrastructure, big laboratories with one microscope. Its history now it's very, very big sites, very, very expensive. And if we should make progress in the research in the world, we have to cooperate. So all countries can't build all these different sites, it's too expensive. We have to, that you in South Africa build one thing, we build one thing, and then we let our researchers can cooperate and go around the world. That's the idea of a modern research society. And we are very happy that we can join the South African-led project of the SKA here, and we also invite South Africa to be a participant in the big European spallation source, which is now built in southern part of Sweden, an investment of $2 to $3 billion, which will be also both infrastructure which will be leading in respective research area. So, Deputy President, I believe this meeting, this conference has been very fruitful. We have had very good discussions, and our good relations have been even improved and even better after these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you.
On that note, we have come to the end of the press conference, and thank you very much for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.